kulni ano kikasamu shilpapaut papaut kanu kusawu shilni ano ki wahu ang papaut papaut kaluang maminukatan najuham kasamu silpapaut kabubang masyaka sunok kadur kawang karul begnok ragok dakul papaut talaman agab ni kalumbat widakil papaut ano kiyabu binafusne papaut kalun ano ki papaut kadanok kadur papaut faul mo hadap kalung dakulni ano kikasaman shilpapaut wo papaut kalung kusam an shilni ano kiwahuan papaut wo papaut kali ang wahuan mani nukadar na jiham kasam un silpapaut ukhabubang masyakhas unuk kadur kaun kalul ik nukrahuk dahul papaut ano kidakul pa asyap silpapaut ukalul hawabab kalun dakulni ano kikasamu silpapaut papaut kalun kusawu shilni ano ki wahu ang kasamu silpapaut kabubang masyaka sunok kadur kawang karul begnok ragok dakul papaut talaman agab ni kalumbat widakil papaut ano kiyabu binafusne papaut kalun ano ki papaut kadanok kadur papaut faul mo ano ki dakul pa asyak silpapaut ukal hadap kalung dakulni ano ki kasaman silpapaut wo papaut kalung kusam an shilni ano ki wahuan papaut wo papaut kali ang wahuan mani nukadar na jiham kasam un silpapaut ukhabubang masyakhas unuk Kidakulpa Asyap silbabot Ukalul hawabab kalun dakulni Anu kikasamu silbabot Babot Kalun kusamu silni Anu ki Wahu ang babot Babot Kaluang maminukadan Najuham kasamu silbabot Ukabubang masyaka Sunok kadur kawang kalul begnok Ragok dakul babot Talaman agap ni kalumbat widakil babot Ano kiyabu binafus ne babot kalun Ano ki babot kadanok kadur babot Faul mo Ano kidakul ba asyak silbabot Ukal hadap kalun Dakulni anu kikasaman silbabot Wo babot kalung kusam an silni anu kiwahuan babot Wo babot kali ang wahuan mani Nukadar na jiham kasampun silbabot Ukhabubang masyakas unuk kadur Kaun kalul ik nukrahuk dahul babot Ano kidakul pa Asyap silbabot Ukalul hawabab kalun dakulni Ano kikasamu silbabot Babot Kalun kusamu silni Ano ki Wahu ang babot Babot Kaluang maminukadan Najuham kasamu silbabot Ukabubang masyaka Sunok kadur kawang kalul begnok Ragok dakul babot Talaman agap ni kalumbat widakil babot Ano kiyabu binafus ne babot kalun Ano ki babot kadanok kadur babot Faul mo Ano kidakul ba asyak silbabot Ukal hadap kalun Dakulni anu kikasaman silbabot Wo babot kalung kusam an silni anu kiwahuan babot Wo babot kali ang wahuan mani Nukadar na jiham kasampun silbabot Ukhabubang masyakas unuk kadur Kaun kalul ik nukrahuk dahul babot Kapal marami kalun bakit Ano kidakulpa Asyat silbabaw Ukalul hawabab kalun dakulni Ano kikasamu silbabaw Babaw Kalun kusawu silni Ano ki Wahu ang babaw Babaw Kaluang mapinukadan Najuham kasamu silbabaw Ukabubang masyaka Sunok kadur kawang kalun begnok Ragok dakul babaw Talaman agap ni kalun bakuy dakil babaw Ano kiyabu binafus ne Babaw kalun Ano ki babaw kadanok kadur babaw Faul mo Ano kidakul ba asyak silbabaw Tukad hadap kalun Dakulni ano kikasaman silbabaw Wo babaw kalun kusam an silni ano kiwahuan babaw Wo babaw kali ang wahuan mani Nukadar na jiham kasampun silbabaw Ukhabubang masyakas unuk kadur Kaun kalul ik nukrahuk dahul babaw
Greater light, greater light, greater light. Can a dummy, greater light, huh? How's the weather? It's nice and warm where you at, huh? Hey, what's going on up there, can a dummy? You like my new meditation song? Now I know what Anki means. I had an uncle they call Uncle Anki. I know joke, no making up or make believe. I had an uncle named Anki. Huh? I had an uncle named, for real, Uncle Anki. Wake up to garbage in the sky. You got garbage in the sky? What? I am so disappointed that you have to wake up with garbage in your sky, huh? That means inside your brain is full of garbage, can a dummy? You know, there was a point I slept behind a garbage can and you couldn't tell me that I wasn't sleeping in a 5-star hotel, huh? 6-star hotel, huh? Because 5 stars just for the average people, huh? Just for the regular citizens, huh? You couldn't tell me when I was sleeping behind them trash cans and behind the donation food bank and across there with that I wasn't sleeping in an 8-star hotel, huh? I'm telling you, I slept so good one night. That's that night, that the first night of rain that came from the time after the hurricane. Because after the hurricane in August, we didn't have no more rain through the nights for the whole time that I was homeless up until this one night. I'm talking about it rained, it rained, it rained, it rained. And I had the garbage cans pulled behind me and in front of me, and I had part of my tent because I was on the concrete. I couldn't take my tent and put it in the ground, so I had to use the rain cover over the garbage cans and stuff. And I tell you, for the whole time, even in the shelters, I slept better that night than I had slept in years. I slept so good. Somebody came and woke me up and asked me if I wanted a sandwich. They had a big biscuit too. Biscuit, sausage, and eggs. And I heard, hey, and I wasn't even afraid or frightened or whatever. I thought it was an angel handing me breakfast. I looked and went back to sleep. So the garbage is wherever it is in your head, huh? How you could be free. See, I realized even when I did the free build yesterday, how they've taken names and people in history to make a person hesitant on what they would move in, what they were born to move in to do and say. So your steps would be out of order if you said, yeah, I am free, because they made it where free was somebody that held deaf souls. How they just changed up the script so good and the stories and made them make believe, huh? Now, I was over at months ago at one of the creators, and as a matter of fact, it was Young Elder, and I was listening to them saying how there are those who are trying to be free and could never be free through soul ties to the land. And then I've heard bills by people in London McLovin's panel that use the word trapped and all that, right? So from the time I heard Young Elder, I was like, but there is ways that the soul is not trapped here. And then last night, as I reflected on the build that I did earlier about free, and who Bing broke down who the Norse god of free was and all that, I spoke to my spirit to give me a dream, because the dreams have been so vivid with me lately, to make me understand how or comprehend why so many of the children these days are lost, that their souls don't even want to be connected to anything that's righteous. So my dream was about my christening. Now, the flesh, I wasn't here in awareness of this flesh being christened. dedicated, where my mother dedicated me to Christ. Right? Canada, dummy, I'm not making this up. I'm not exaggerating. I'm not, you know, adding on extra to what transition in my thoughts and energy and spirit and physical realm between yesterday and this morning. So when I woke up, I'm like, okay, so the christening, right? And I've told this story before when it came to my son, that I had vowed I wasn't going to dedicate my son to Christ. Because the thought that I had in my mind when I was carrying my son is that he was as Christ, that he would change the world. I was so protective and sure in my mind of what I had made up about my son while he was in my womb, that nothing my mother could say to me in that house, or her husband and their ministry and everything else, could override or trump anything that was in my mind about my son. And so now, as this morning, as I'm reflecting on a dream of me being christened and handed over to Christ, I decided to call my mother earlier than usual. So now I make this connection where the children that have no foundation of their soul connected to any type of religion. Now, I don't even want to use the word religious, spirituality. Because there was a point throughout time, even in the slavery days, so supposedly slavery days, that people were dedicating their children to God. So I remember in the 70s and the 80s, I remember as a child, literally like 78, when we were literally functionally sitting in church services and working church services through my grandmother, because my mother wasn't going, she had stopped going to church when she met my stepfather. And then in the 80s, and then even when I dedicated my daughter, now mind you, I didn't do it with my son, but I did it with my daughter. And I didn't get to do it with my third child. Again, they had her to take her from me before she was even born. So with that thought about the contraption of the spirit being bound, it made me reflect on the verse that says, when you raise up a child in the way that they should go, when they are older, they will not depart. Meaning there are parents and families that I remember in the 80s, they was out there in the streets, the mothers, or they were living a particular way of life, but they would still come to church that three ceremonies out of the year. Either to dedicate children and then go back in the streets and do what they're doing. Easter and Christmas or a funeral, those ceremonies. And then there became a point where now people aren't really going to church or in the temple. And so now you have a whole generation of children that was never even dedicated to something righteous. So when I called my mother, I already know where I was born. I already knew I was dedicated as a child. But to understand that right now, spiritually, if I wanted to be free, which I am now free, but mean where my spirit can be released, all I would have to do is get the bounded paper of ceremony. Huh? Now, how did I make that connection when I was over there at Young Elder last night listening to the Phoenix that they're rising, huh? And the Phoenix that they're rising, she was saying how the ceremony of the, what you call it, how your placenta is weighed in and scaled for the government, and the things that they do with the placenta and the stem cells that come out of the placenta. So now, as I'm listening to her, and then the dream that came to me about my christening, again, I wasn't there. Like, my awareness wasn't there. But I pictured my mother holding me, looking like this. Let me show you. In the dream, just like this. Let me show you. That's just the image that was in the dream of my mother, right? So when I call my mother, I say, well, Mom, okay, I know I'm the only one who have all these memories that go so far back. And I was being a little sarcastic, just a little. But she didn't pick up on that because I was being sincere also. And I say, but where was I christened? And I didn't mean where, like where, because I know where I was born. So she said, oh yeah, Jensen Beach. Huh? Jensen Beach. Now let's go. We are going to take names and break down names and be like, yes, we knew you, devil. You know, no, don't do that. Don't come over here to do that. I want you to listen to what I'm saying. So when she says Jensen Beach, I was like, yeah, but Mom, I already know Jensen Beach. I know I was born on the Treasure Coast. I know all of this. But I mean, which church, which pastor? Because now it could be easy if I didn't want to do my Father's will. There's a reason why I could get the tones to know which way and my steps are ordered now, huh? And the frequencies that let me know, huh, that God is on the way, huh? If I wanted to right now, I could go and order my steps and go to Jensen Beach and ask them people to give me my ceremonial certificate that where I was dedicated to Christ, and I could go ahead and burn it up and be released. If I wanted to, if that was who I was, if I was dealing with what people think I'm dealing with, and I'm not. If I wanted to. Those who want to serve the devil and you can't figure out why you trapped into Christianity, I'm going to tell you right now, you want to be free? You want to be free? Go get your ceremonial certificate where your parents dedicated you to Christ and go burn it up. Huh? You'll be free. You'll be free to roam with the devil, huh? So when I got all the details of where, I'm gonna tell you right now, it places me at the time of the this flesh being raised up to Christ next to Eden. I'm not making it up. When I did the research, I said, "Oh, really? You know the road and everything? You know exactly where? Like that? Like you can't tell me much about my biological father, but you remember that? Woo! Thank you." And I said, "Mom, thank you. Thank you, Mother." So now what I'm encouraging is for people, the sealing, when I keep saying get sealed, even get your children sealed. Have Get them sealed in love and light of Christ so that you could be protected, because Jesus went to prepare a place for us, huh? Our souls are going to be resurrected. Can a dummy, just as your plant, you know that your soul, light soul, came from somewhere and is going to somewhere. And you see, I said Jesus prepared a place for us. I ain't saying he went to prepare. He done preparing that place. It's done. It's done. Our brother has made sure. And as they cleanse the earth, when the devil get finished doing what he needs to do with those who so lovingly, willingly serve and wants what he has to offer, he's preparing a place. Does the furnace have to be prepared for the DEMs? Yep. You, they are literally in the federal government preparing a place for the DEMs. Yeah? No. Yeah? No, I'm telling you, you don't have to believe me. You can check it out for yourself. But what I'm going to do is go to the Federal Register so you can see what it is that I'm talking about, that it's real. And it may look like they speaking about the physical realm, and they're not. Just as I read out of that proclamation that Biden did, where he said they must heed to the whispers of their beta angels. For sure, when he said they beta angels, when he claimed and said out loud, soon as he stepped off that stage at the State of the Union address, where he said he's Azazel, and Bernie Sanders said, and he's Tutu. And for each event that they've done, like I said, how this cold weather was going to be different because of not the shift in the shift. We know that there's a spiritual shift. And we know that there was a certain particular shift in the earth. Some of us have that knowledge because we read books by Dr. Malachi Z. York that said that when the shift would happen and everything like that. And other people got their information elsewhere. Again, all this stuff was documented and prepared before we got here. It was already here. We are living prophecy. We are in revelation, meaning we are part of the prophecy. Each one of us has a place in the prophecy, in the word. We are the living word, the Bible says it. We are the light, the Bible says it. Then there are the darks. There are those that are prepared and anxious for the preparation of raising up of their devil. So what are the preparations that they're doing elsewhere on earth besides all the things that they did? The chemicals that every time Elon Musk put that rocket in the sky pretending that they going to Mars and everything else, they was just spraying chemicals. When he did one of those explosions, and I said, and you see all the chemicals that's coming from that so-called eruption, and by the time it hit around and then it come around the cold weather, that's when they released the winds, the four winds. I went through all of that, not because I'm a prophet. I am not nowhere near close to a prophet. I am a person that studied the words that were already here before I got here. So making these connections in Federal Register is easy when you have already studied the scriptures that says that we are living in Revelations, that all of the signs, like my grandmother, 95 years old, she said, there is no doubt. And I'm right, there's no doubt, because everything that we see can tangibly, it's tangible. Confirmations. So let me show you where I said there are people who was able to see whatever frequencies that they sent when they did that frequency over Miami, right? At Bayside, as many times as I used to fish at Bayside. I used to sit behind Bayside and fish. I remember I took my daughter fishing King Ellis one day right there behind the American Airlines Arena. That's how close Bayside is. The Bayside Market is to anybody who hasn't been to Miami, is right there by the American Airlines Arena, right? And before they built the American Airlines Arena, you know, a lot of us, that's where we would go to fish. Or we would go over there by the Herald, which is, visible from the Bayside. They call it Bayside Marketplace now, but it was just Bayside. Not too far from the Omni and all that, right? But when I explained, for those who was able to see that frequency that they put out, it was just those who are blessed and gifted And at that point, it wasn't even for them to be in fear if they was already prepared. Because all that was a frequency. That being was just a frequency of fear. So that by the time the kingdom is coming, people are going to be scared, because now you have people that say, look, what we saw was real. And we got videos that say right here at Bayside, yeah. No. There's a frequency all the way about and around that area because of the Freedom Tower. Not just that, not far and down the road from that, or down the ocean from that, the same frequency that I showed next to Vizcaya Gardens, that whole area. So now you're going to have all type of things going around that's in and beneath and connected to the Bermuda Triangle and that area. Like, just what? They just had a plane, talking about the plane exploding and all that. That's because the Federal Register, they already said all these things that's happening with Boeing. I showed that a few months ago. Something going to be happening with the airplanes because they say, look, it's a bolt here missing and a bolt there missing. So they're going to have all these different events just to distract people from what they're really doing. They preparing the fiery furnace. I showed the opening in Puerto Rico. That's why I said the Bermuda Triangle, they show us one point of it. And that's the Bermuda Triangle is extended further than that. It goes down into the Gulf of Mexico and then comes across up under Haiti, all the way across up under Puerto Rico. And then it goes back up across over Bahamas and back up to Tennessee. And the door that's opening, I saw something in one of their little news came through talking about the gateway to hell in Mexico. Yeah, all of those are just different places where they're going to release the demons to come out and have their fun on all seven corners of the earth, or seven wonders of the earth, or whatever. But the entrance gate happening right, the door is already opening down there near Puerto Rico. What does Puerto Rico mean? What is puerta by alone? Huh? What is the word puerta on its own? Even the names of our islands and places have a spiritual esoteric meaning. So back to me bringing up Bayside in Florida. So all the things that they're showing is because part of the major events would be coming out of that land. So let me show you where they're preparing part of the furnace. Other places are heating up and the furnace is getting ready. But what's so significant about Florida and the furnace? Air plan approval. Miscellaneous SIP changes. Look, this miscellaneous final rule, and it's a final rule from the Environmental Protection Agency. This rule is effective February 21st. What? They're going to do the 2-1, 2-1, 2-2-1. Two rising, huh? It'll be 2, 4, 6, 8, 8. That's the 13. Let me go ahead and start reading this. The Environmental Protection Agency coming out of ATO. Remember I said, whatever they devil doing, he putting his whole stinky foot on Stone Mountain, huh? It's coming out of Stone Mountain. See that right there? Why Stone Mountain staying on attack on Florida? Environmental Protection Agency, huh? Let's read the fossil fuel injected plants that they have. If you go, I'm not going to repeat what I said about the dream. Oh, no, that wasn't a dream. I was wide awake. That what's her name showed me. What's her name? Am I showing the screen? Am I sharing? Oh, I'm not even sharing this with you. Hold on. Let me get back here. What's her name? Bing. Bing showed me a picture of Miami, certain parts of Miami, and I talked about it maybe 5-6 lives ago. Because whatever it is that they're doing to prepare a place for their raising of their God, where Biden said they must heed to their better angels, you have the opportunity to be sealed. You don't have, I don't want to say you don't have to go run into a church and get your, put love, the seal of love and light over your children. Put seal and a seal and love of light over your family. Pray for the seal. That is how you dedicate. You pray for the seal of love and light over your family, because it ain't even about water anymore. It's about light. And people looking for a destruction and floods and water, and yeah, they showing these signs, but that's not how the destruction is gonna be. Fire. And they are already preparing their places for their DEMs. They demi gods, they demo gods, and everything else, and they beta angels. On April 1st, 2022, FDEP submitted SIP revision. Now, I know that this information about the environmental protection and how they did so much research on how they can take people out with just the air alone. Is a fact. When you had, like, I listened to Rod Hayes say something about Old Smoky. Old Smoky was an incinerator in Miami, Florida, that was meant to take out most of the Bahamian descendants. Right there in Coconut Grove, this incinerator that they ended up turning into a, what you call it, a fire house. That was called Old Smoky. So they know how hell's incinerators work in Florida. Just based on that study for years. So now Florida is implementing. The SIP means to implementation. So April 1st, 2022, the FDEP submitted a SIP revision to EPA regarding Chapter 62, 29, and 6. Oh, yeah. 62, 29, and 6. There's the 666 involved in it. Oh, it's more than a 666. It is a 6, 6, 6, 6, 6. Look at this revision. Look at the numbers. You see I can't make this up. That ain't no 666. For the existing, the new and existing to come, that ain't no 666 right there. Take that 9 and flip it. Look at that 6, 2, 4, 6, 6, 6, 6 over Florida. You think they talking about asphalt and concrete plants? They talking about furnaces all day long, huh? How much heat they got to put into this furnace? Let's read. The Florida Administrative Code. I'm going to pass all these little stationary statutory numbers and just read through. It's a fact. They say this is going to be a fact. This is not imaginary. It's a fact that they requesting an implementation to general pollutant emission limiting standards. Fossil fuel steam generators with less than 250 million BTU per hour heat input. New and existing emission units on the 666. Primary lead acid battery manufacturing operations. Secondary lead smelting operations. Electric arc. Furnace equipped. Second steel manufacturing operations. Reasonably available control technology on particular matter. When I saw the RACT last night, I saw this. I said, okay. Reasonably available control technology, particulate matter. And back to fossil fuel steam generators, asphalt concrete plants. See how even your plants will be, but you notice that plants will break through the concrete. Plants will break through the concrete. But the way they're going to make sure hell rises up and the earth is totally cleansed, huh? They got to make sure that the plants can't even rise up out the concrete. Look at that. Now, the phosphate processing operations, electric arc furnaces came back again. Sweat or pot furnaces. Oh, you're going to be sweating at wherever people are going to be sweating. People who deal with auras, they got to play for everybody. The vegans, anybody, because there are vegans who don't have the love and light of Christ. they got a place for you. They got a place for those who are generators of money, and that's all they love. You will be where it's steamed and fueled, Fossil. Those who are matters, the ones who particular matters like Egyptology, who, they're Egyptians that know that Jesus came through Egypt and was raised with them. And Jesus said, now come out of there. Because if you get stuck, you too will be part of the furnace. You have those who are savvy with the computer technology. There's a place, they prepared a place for you too. You have those, they say, we are light beings. Yeah, there's all kind of light beings. They're the ones that come through the TV talking about coming to the light, Carol Ann, to come to hell. There's a place for you too. They got a rule for you. You got those who are indigenous to the land, and smoke pot all day long and say, we don't believe in none of Jesus or any love and light. We want to kill everything we see, Murderers, Don't care about putting love and light in the hood. They just they got a place for you. Where you gonna be, it's gonna be a lot of sweating. Then they got where people, they telling you all the different places where they furnace. They got grinders in the furnace. Crushing gonna go on with gnashing of teeth, screening, sizing, You don't think they getting the fiery furnace ready, Who's helping them get it ready? The radiation division, the air planning and implementation branches. Remember when I broke down yesterday how the Federal Register, the branches that come down? And they say we want to make sure we incorporate and make you understand to the fullest once again how we getting the furnace ready. See, they said all these years they've been getting the furnace ready. The furnace wasn't ready. Now that the furnace is ready, we need to send a sign. We got to make sure that our frequency and wave beams to help get those who want to worship the devil, who want to be part of Team Gog and Magog, we got to make sure they can see it. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to choose the devil and this fiery furnace that he is getting together. If you know that Jesus went to prepare a place again, they had to get this earth ready too. Now, you don't think, say she just reaching. Okay, let me show you right now where I'm not reaching. I'm going to show you how they talking straight to the colored people and particular people. Now, guess who ain't going to be affected? Right now, I could go if I wanted to stay on this land that ain't made for me. When they getting the reparations, the repatriations for the native graves, it's because even the ones who, remember when the dead in Christ rise, And then there's going to be those who are alive, and then the dead in the demons realm, demonic realm, they're going to rise too. And so those who are left behind, the Indians that didn't walk around in love and light, the ones who are in flesh that stay behind and say they indigenous to this land, you are not a native of the kingdom of heaven, because the Bible speaks of those who are natives to the kingdom of heaven. You are not a native of the kingdom of heaven, and you want to take and claim tribal land. They saying, well, look what they say here. In addition to this, implementation is not approved to apply to any Indian reservation or land or any other area where EPA or Indian tribe has demonstrated that the tribe has jurisdiction. In those areas of Indian country, the rule does not have tribal implications and will not impose substantial direct costs to tribal governments or preempt tribal laws, because they don't believe in love and light. I'm not, look, there are Indian tribes that know, and it's in their oral traditional scriptures of Christ coming. So don't dare tell me you are aboriginal, huh? Aboriginal, huh? But then there are those that say, no, we worship another kind. And so that's right here. They're the ones that are connected to Shiva and Prime Minister Modi. Their bloodline is in that bloodline, and they refuse to turn away. They are connected to Solomon, who refused to turn to the true living God. They'd rather be bound with death, huh? So here's where the executive order says they won't be affected. That's not me being racist. That's me showing you exactly what it's saying right here. Now, yeah, she reaching. No, I'm not. Watch this. So in the executive order on the minority populations and low-income populations, like I said, that's why I started this off saying, trying to remember where families went lost, where the children got to a point where they don't even want to come back to Christ. They don't want to hear about Jesus, huh? When the Bible says, when you raise them in the way that they should go, that when they are older, they will not depart, not meaning that the parents, like I said to my mother this morning when I asked her, exactly where's the church that you dedicated me to Christ? And she went into her, and I say, yeah, but at the end of the day, this ain't about, I'm not saying, I'm telling you, thank you. But at the end of the day, you could have decided you would never turn back to Christ. And you did something right when you did do that. Because at the end of the day, when I stand before God, you're not going to be there with me. We are all totally different beings and entities. But for the point in time where people in the hood, let's say the hood, people in low-income populations, people in minority populations, stop giving their children to love and light. Stop putting a form of praise, of love and light over their children when they were born, especially the first 30 days. To protect that temple. So that even if they got lost, they would return. Right? No, okay. Well, the minority populations and low income populations since the time that they made these actions, and they addressed it February 16th, 1994. Oh, wow. I can tell you that is exactly, huh? Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. That is deep. That is deep. Direct federal agencies to identify and address disappropriationality, high and adverse human health and environmental effects of their actions on minority populations and low-income populations to the greatest extent practicable and permitted by law. EPA defines environmental justice as fair treatment and meaningful involvement of all peoples, regardless of race, color, national origin, or income, with respect to the development, implementation, and enforcement of environmental laws, regulations, and policies. Here is where they separate. See, there's a separation here for them. But then they put this right here where those in the minority and low income populations, you will come where you will not be judged by the color of your skin, but by the content of your character. And your content and character is, if it is tribal, under a particular preempt. See the empt? Where you are indigenous to this land, you are not native to the kingdom of heaven. But here, those who have all these years say that they were native to the kingdom, they put you in a bunched up group that says now you have a different environmental justice. You're under a different type of rule. EPA further defines the term fair treatment to mean that no group, here's the group of people, should bear disproportionate burden of environmental harms and risks, including those resulting from the negative environmental consequences of industrial, governmental, and commercial operations or programs and policies. See this? Programs, that's research and development. Commercial operations. Industry, this is commerce. And governmental, that's laws. And policies, the police. FDEP did not evaluate environmental justice considerations as part of the implementation submittal. The CAA and applicable implementing regulations neither prohibit nor require such an evaluation. EPA did not perform an environmental justice analysis and did not consider environmental justice in this action. Due to the nature of the action being taken here, this action is expected to have a neutral or positive impact on the air quality of the affected area. Consideration of the environmental justice is not required as part of this action, meaning they taking the justice out of it because you will no longer justified by your minority report or your income. You are justified by where you stand in light code. Due to the nature of the action being taken here, this action can be expected to have a neutral or positive impact on the air quality of the affected area. Breathe. Consideration of environmental justice is not required as part of this action, and there is no information in the record inconsistent with the stated goal. They got a goal, and their goal is about this furnace that they're getting ready of achieving environmental justice for people of color, low-income populations, or indigenous people. Because, you know, there are indigenous that don't claim tribal. There are people who have been indigenous that they believe in the higher. This is the difference in what I was saying about those up here, that they're separating and getting their repatriation for their natives. And then there are those who, when they were dedicating their children to the sun. They said, look, love and light of the sun. Love and light. We're raising them just so that when they are old, they will not be taken from and snatched up from. Their souls won't be prone to what is ready and being prepared in this furnace. So they clearing their tails right here in this. And they did this a day after they did the release the freedom, free for a day. And after they released the proclamation of Dr. Martin Luther King, and within that where he did the call to war, which I went over yesterday. This action, hold up. Look at this. They making sure they making sure their hands are washed. It does not have federalism implications. Does not contain any unfunded mandates reform act. Is not subject to the state. Is not subject to the requirements of National Technology Transfer and Advancement Act. So remember, I said that they will be raising your soul. They did a church mandate where your consciousness belongs to them. So where children was being dedicated and given to love and light in ceremonies at birth, people stop doing that, and the ceremonies are being conducted by the federal government. So I say to some of the mothers whose children are lost that you didn't dedicate your children to love and light in your mind and heart. You can do that right now for them. In your mind and heart and in your prayers, you can dedicate your children, your bloodline, because the government has done it for you, but you override that. Your connection to the flesh and a hold that they have on the flesh that makes our DNA mesh with the light. You have the opportunity now to seal your descendants and ascendance under the love and light of Christ. It's you would be standing in the gap. All right, so I'm going to leave out of this for a little bit. And I'll probably come back later with some studies in regard to love and light. No, I more than definitely will. Today is a grand day. In a little while, I wanted to go and do volunteering, but I'm kind of glad things turned out the way it did. Because again, I was able to call my mother and find out exactly the location of where I was dedicated, where this flesh. And let me read you a little bit about it. That's what I'm going to do. Read one of the places where I will be calling tomorrow to see if I could get that certificate. Listen to the history of one of the potential places. She said she didn't know exactly the exact name of the church, but there was two on the street or that road that was closest to where I was raised for those 3 months. So here's one of them. I'm going to read a little history. Okay. Let me play this for a moment before I read this, because it's all connecting for me. And confirmation by confirmation by confirmation, God is on the way. And again, it doesn't mean that you're going to stop what you're doing. Just seal up with love and light, because you are a light and you'll be a light. If it's just to one, you'll be a light to someone that needs to be saved for whatever all this grinding and burning and sweating and furnace pots that the devil got ready. Okay. Hold up. Here we go.
Kali ang wahuan mani Nukadar na jiham kasampun silpapaw Ukhabubang masyakhas unuk kadu Kaun kalul ilik nukrahuk dahul papaw Kapamarahan ikarun baki kakil papaw Tanong kiyabuk pinafus ni papaw Kalun na niki papaw Kadano kadun papaw Paunuk faw Enen mungkus kalun Ahrun I am free in him anki Ahrun 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 free in him I am Ahrun free in him I am Anuki Ahrun I am Anuki Ahrun I am Ano kidakul pa Asyat sil babaw Mukalul hawabab kalun dakul kasamo 실바바웃 바바웃 가는 고사모 실니 아누기 와후 안 바바웃 바바웃 kaluang mapinukada na Joham kasamo silpapaw ukabubang masyaka sunok kadur kawang kalul begnok ragok dakul papaw talaman agab ni kalumbat widakil papaw ano kiyabu binafusne papaut kalun ano ki papaut kada nukadul papaut faul mo ano kitakul pa asyak si papaut ukad hadap kalun takul ni ano ki kasaman sil papaut wo papaut kalun kusam an sil ni ano ki wahuan papaut wo papaut kali ang wahuan mani nukadar na jaham kasampun sil papaut ukhabubang masyakhas unuk kadur kaun kalul ik nukrahuk dahul papaut kapamaraham ikalun baki kakil papaut anong kiyabuk pinafus ni papaut kalun aniki papaut kaganong kadun papaut paunuk faut enen mungkus kalun ahur I am free in him aniki ahur free in him anki ahur free in him anki ahur free in him anki ahur free in him I am ahur free in him I am anuki ahur I am anuki ahur I am ano kidakul pa asyak sil babaw ukalul hawabab kalun dakul ni ano kikasamo sil babaw babaw kalun kusamo sil ni ano ki wahu ang papaut papaut kaluang mapinukada na Joham kasamo sil papaut ukabubang masyaka sunok kadur kawang kalul begnok ragok dakul papaut talaman agab ni kalumbat widakil papaut ano kiyabu binafusne papaut kalun ano ki papaut kada nukadul papaut faul mo ano kitakul pa asyak si papaut ukad hadap kalun takul ni ano ki kasaman sil papaut wo papaut kalun kusam an sil ni ano ki wahuan papaut wo papaut kali ang wahuan mani nukadar na jaham kasampun sil papaut ukhabubang masyakhas unuk kadur kaun kalul ik nukrahuk dahul papaut kapamaraham ikalun baki kakil papaut anong kiyabuk pinafus ni papaut kalun aniki papaut kaganong kadun papaut.
All right, all right. So here's a little history about the Jensen Beach Christian Church, originally known as Jensen Union Church, is an historic church building located in Jensen Beach, Florida. Built in Gothic Revival style between 1910 and 1912, of site manufactured concrete blocks cast to look like stones. It was designed to serve the needs of the local Protestants. Its pulpits and pews, which are still in use, were donated by Henry Morrison Flagler. Flagler Street, the developer of Florida East Coast Railway, whose main line still runs through Jensen Beach, less than a block west of the church. Gothic Revival. And it gives the coordinates. Construction started in 1910 and was completed in 1912. One-story building with two-story entrance bell tower using site manufactured concrete blocks cast to look like stones. On June 7, 2010, the Jensen Beach Christian Church was added to the Martin County History Register by Martin County Historic Preservation Board. What? In 2010. Wow, that's deep for me. You would have to know some history with me to know why that's deep. In 1894, the Interdenominational Protestant Sunday School was organized in what was then called Jensen, the Jensens. It met first in Al Fresco Hotel, then the town hall, later the school. By 1898, the Episcopalians had left to form All Saints Episcopal Church at Waveland. In 1905, the Florida Baptist Board of Missions sent Reverend E. Woodson to preach on the fourth Sunday of each month. This is it. Because my mother just told me. I swear, this is it. E. Woodson, the fourth Sunday of each month, until he left for New Smyrna. The Reverend Harry H. Jones of the Union Congregational Church in nearby Eden also came down to preach on Sundays and Wednesdays. Oh my goodness. Listen, not that time frame has anything to do with me, but she was explaining the history of the church and how the people, they would come in from out and only preach on particular, also came down to preach on Sundays and Wednesdays. In 1906, local pioneers Ranson Wren Tilton and Gertrude Tilton, his wife, offered the land on Church Street for the church to be built. The Ladies' Aid Society was formed in 1906 to raise money for the building. In 1910, the Tiltons deeded the property to the Ladies' Aid Society and construction began. And the Jensen Union Church opened in 1912. The Baptists later left to form the First Baptist Church. The Reverend Mr. Jones returned in the 1920s to serve as pastor of the church until 1950. Then 1932, the congregation became the Jensen Community Church. But it was not until 1938 when the land was deeded it by the Ladies' Aid Society. In 1962, the congregation, by then known as the Jensen Beach Community Church, moved the new building to Skyline Drive. The Church Street building was sold to new congregation, Jensen Beach Christian Church. The exterior concrete blocks were originally not painted, but were later painted white. In 1931, an addition was added to the rear of the church, and in 1952, a kitchen Sunday school wing was added to the east of the addition. In 2009, the church exterior was painted. They skipped all that. It got all the way to 2009. Was painted a bright yellow with gray trim, but was repainted white in May in 2009 in order to gain recognition by the local historic preservation board. The gray trim has been retained. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm going to go and look at some more history. The history of, they got some history about it. I'm trying to hit the history in 1972. Jensen Indian, the Thurlow Sander, the historic Jensen and Eden on Florida's Indian River. Oh my goodness. Oh, but I got to call them anyway. I will be calling them on Monday to see, go ahead and get my ceremony of dedication to have in my hand, ready as a native for the kingdom of Christ. You are a native of the kingdom of heaven. Spread love and light even in your mind. Cover your descendants and ascendants who were not dedicated to the nativity scene of the kingdom of Christ. Greater light to all. Thank you, Mama. Thank you.